It's August 19, 2026. I had to drive from Ukiah to Fort Bragg today, cutting across Mendocino County the way I've done 100 times before. The inland heat was brutal, the sky sharp and bright, and the pavement radiating that late summer burn. Once I reached Willits, I turned west onto Highway 20, the only road that threads the hills between the redwoods and the coast. This isn't just a drive, it's a transition from a furnace to fog, from inland dust to ocean air, from straight roads to twisting curves that demand your attention. So settle back, buckle up, and get ready. I want to share the 45-minute ride with you. I roll out of Willits with the heat still stuck to me, that inland 98-degree air pressing against the windshield like it's trying to climb inside the car. The moment I hit Highway 20, though, the road starts twisting. No warm-up, no easing in, just curve after curve like it's daring me to keep up. This is a classic Mendocino County summer transition. The inland furnace giving way to that cold, fog-wrapped coast. Early evening, I rolled out of Ukiah at 103 degrees, the heat still clinging to the pavement. By the time I dropped into Willits at 98 degrees around 6 p.m., the air felt thick and dusty, the kind of warmth that hangs on even after the sun starts losing altitude. I made that westward run, the long descent towards the ocean, and the temperature just fell off a cliff. I hit Fort Bragg at 62 degrees about 6:45 p.m. Fog sliding in low, headlights glowing in the mist. That last 45 minutes becomes its own little show. Golden inland light behind you, blue coastal haze ahead, the road carrying you between two different worlds. This was one of those drives where you can feel the climate changing through the windshield. Heat on my arms, then suddenly the cool, damp air slipping through the vents. A good reminder of why living on this coast never gets old. The sun is dropping fast, but not fast enough. It slams straight through the glass, a blinding gold blast that hits me right when the road bends the wrong way. I'm squinting, leaning forward, trying to see through the glare while the headlights from oncoming cars whip around corners like they're shot out of a cannon. Every turn feels like a guess. The asphalt rolls under me, left, right, tighter right, sudden dip. The kind of motion that makes my stomach float for a second. I can feel the suspension working, the tires gripping, the whole car shifting like it's negotiating with the hillside. It's not just a drive, it's a ride with an attitude, and I'm strapped in whether I like it or not. Somewhere around the halfway mark, the temperature starts to fall. I don't notice it at first, but the air creeping through the vents gets cooler, then cold. 98 becomes 80, then 70. Then suddenly I'm in the low 60s and the fog is sliding in like a curtain being pulled across the world. Inland heat behind me, coastal chill ahead. The Mendocino switch flips without warning. By the time I hit the final stretch towards Fort Bragg, it's a full roller coaster mode. Fog thick enough to blur the treetops, the road twisting like it's trying to shake me loose, and that last bit of sunlight still trying to blind me even though it's almost gone. Cars still flying around corners like they're on rails. I hang on, buckle up, and hope I remembered the Dramamine. That 45-minute run from Willits to the coast is wild every single time. And tonight, it's showing off. The road keeps twisting, keeps throwing its weight around, and I'm gripping the wheel like I'm strapped into some wild carnival ride. It's better than a roller coaster because it's real. No tracks, no safety bars, just me and you, the car, and a highway that doesn't care how ready we are. So if you're riding shotgun, settle in, buckle up, hold on. You're about to get the ride of your life. Skip ahead if you need to, because once I leave Willits and settle into Highway 20, the world changes fast. The road tightens, the trees rise up on both sides, and before long I'm deep enough into the redwoods that the sky disappears. The canopy gets so thick it feels like driving at night. Cool, dark, quiet, the kind of darkness that headlights barely cut through. The twists come one after another, sharp enough to make the car lean and the tires grip hard. Every bend feels like it was carved by someone who wanted to test your nerves. I settle into the rhythm, hands steady on the wheel, letting the road pull me left, right, left again. And the wild part, people actually ride this stretch on bikes, pedaling through those blind corners, climbing these steep grades, dropping into those shadowed tunnels of trees. It's hard enough in a car. On a bike, it's a whole different level of brave. 45 minutes of curves, canopy, and adrenaline. That's Highway 20. Highway 20, the dark stretch. Around the 25-minute mark on the video, I dropped into the darkest part of the trip. The redwoods closed in overhead until the canopy was so thick I could barely see the road. My headlights pushed forward, but the beams just dissolved into the shadows. It felt like driving through a tunnel carved out of the night, cool, silent, and a little unnerving. The curves didn't let up either. Tight bends, sudden dips, the kinds of turns where you grip the wheel a little harder and trust your instincts more than your eyes. Every few seconds I'd catch a glimpse of the yellow center line, then it would vanish again under the trees. Then, if you stick around to the 38-minute, 38-second mark, that's where I tell the story about the passenger in the dark. The man I picked up at 6 in the morning wearing sunglasses and a wide-brimmed hat, silent all the way over the hill until he finally told me why. It's a story that fits this stretch of Highway 20 perfectly. This part of the drive is always a reminder the redwoods don't just shade the road, they swallow it. passenger in the dark. It looks like we made it to Fort Bragg without going over the side. That's not something you take for granted on Highway 20. People do go off that road from time to time. Those curves don't care who you are. Years ago, when I was driving a passenger van over the hill, I had one early morning run I'll never forget. It was about 6 a.m., still dark enough that the streetlights looked tired. I pulled up in Fort Bragg to pick up a passenger. He climbed in wearing sunglasses and a wide-brimmed hat, even though the sun wasn't anywhere near rising. He paid for a ride to Willits and sat all the way in the back. He didn't say a word, didn't look around, just stared straight ahead into the dark like he was watching something only he could see. The road was quiet that morning, no traffic, just the hum of the van and the shadows of the redwoods sliding past. The whole ride felt a little spooky, like the silence had weight to it. I kept checking the mirror, wondering what his story was, but he never moved, never spoke. Then, just before we reached the top of the hill outside Willits, he finally broke the silence. His voice was low, rough, like he hadn't used it in a while. He said, "Are we almost there?" He told me he'd gone off the road a couple nights earlier while driving home. His car had gone down a steep embankment, and he'd spent the whole night down there, bruised, shaken, waiting for daylight. Well, when we got to Willits, he took off the hat and the sunglasses. That's when I saw it, the bruising, the cuts, the swelling across his face. He looked like he'd been through a fight with the mountain and barely walked away. He told me he was glad I got him over the hill safely, and I believed him. Highway 20 has a way of reminding you how thin the line can be between a routine drive and a story you never forget. Thanks for riding with me on this run over the hill, and a big thank you to all my subscribers. You're the reason I keep posting these drives and stories from the Mendocino coast. If you're new here and you like what you see, you're invited to join me on future drives. Just click on my picture at the end of the video to subscribe for free. More rides, more stories, more Mendocino moments coming soon.